Welcome to Have I Got News for You. My name is Anne Robinson and I'm in charge this week, even though I haven't actually watched this programme since 1995. And here's why.
Have you seen her wink on Points of View lately, Anne Robinson? Is that her name? It's sort of turned into this curious sort of like...
Still no hard feelings. Let's have a quick look at the scores so far. That's Paul and John 0, and Ian and John 5. In the news this week, on a visit to a London school, there are signs that Ian Duncan Smith may be losing his confidence when it comes to meeting the public. Bad news for Saddam Hussein as the UN reveals the man leading the French troops into Iraq. And as explorer Ranulph Fiennes sledges across Antarctica, the reserve husky is left to amuse himself at home. On Ian Hislop's team is author John O'Farrell, who actually stood as a Labour candidate in Maidenhead and did something Ian Duncan Smith could only dream of. He increased the Tory vote. And with Paul Merton tonight, the BBC World Affairs editor and the first man since Lawrence of Arabia to go to war in a dress, John Simpson. Just for a change, we're going to start with round one. Paul and John, what's this about?
Oh, this is the butler who didn't do it. This is Paul Burrell. He was her rock. This is the woman who suddenly remembered she was Queen. And there he said, goodbye. Apparently he had all this stuff of Diana's, which he wasn't meant to have. And then the Queen suddenly said, oh, hang on a minute, I've just remembered, he said, told me he had it. And there was an curious meeting between the two of them where she warned him off. She said, listen, there's people out there. Listen, I'm not saying anything, you know, but mine, there you go. All right, son. Nice little butler's outfit you got there. Wouldn't like to see anything happen, you know what I mean? Anyway, mine, there you go.
This was only the story of the meeting as described in the Mirror. This was their big lead. He remembered that the Queen had said, watch out, there are dark forces. It's quite a feeble story for 300 grand, really, I thought.
You used to work for the Mirror.
I did indeed.
Yes, so?
Never mind.
You used to get 250 grand, didn't you?
That's true.
From Robert Maxwell, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed, I did.
Still, he's dead now, isn't he?
He is indeed, thank
Yes.
goodness.
That's not what you said afterwards.
Just to move swiftly
I
on.
bet.
What did we learn that the Queen does first thing in the morning?
Oh, yes, according to the Mirror, she gets up and says, where's the Daily Mirror?
Exactly.
Do you know what she really uses the Mirror for?
And can you help at all about what Paul Burrell might have said to the Queen?
Either you bail me out or I'm going to blow the whole gaff.
No.
Okay.
How long did the meeting last?
Well, he said it lasted 3 hours, and the palace sources say it lasted 3 minutes.
But that was according to The Sun.
Yes, they're not
which
exactly...
wasn't very enthusiastic, was calling him balmy the last time I looked.
But I think probably the conversation was more along the lines of, can you bring me a cup of tea, now get out?
He also told the Queen, the trouble was, Your Majesty, you spoke in black and white, and Princess Diana spoke in colour.
Yeah, don't you think that's a journalist sort of fluffing it up a bit?
Unless he is balmy.
Well, John, do you find when you're liberating countries single-handed that you talk in colour?
Oh, is this it all evening? She's not going to talk about working for the Mirror, you're not going to talk about dressing up?
Oh, no, I'm talking about dressing up. I don't mind about dressing up. Actually, the burqa, fantastic, covers your face, and you might like to try one.
Just one more question on Burrell. Do we know what he's up to now?
He's presenting a quiz show.
Yeah, next week.
OK.
more in 20 minutes, considering how this is going.
It's what the butler saw and heard, as revealed by Paul Burrell. In the BBC poll of the 100 greatest Britons, Diana is currently in second place, with Churchill, Darwin, Shakespeare and Nelson narrowing the gap and following close behind her. They really ought to back off a bit, or there might be a nasty accident in a tunnel. Ian and John, your turn.
What's his name? Thingy.
And the
that's
other
another one.
Portillo.
Oh, and that's my friend Theresa May.
Yes, you stood against...
That's her shoes. Those were the shoes I was trying to step into.
What sparked off this leadership crisis? Can you help me?
It was a debate about gay adoption, and the big issue was, should a homosexual be allowed to adopt the Conservative Party? And, you know, it's a moral dilemma, really. No one wants it, why not give it to, you know, a respectable gay man?
Tories are turning into a lunatic fringe party now, aren't they? We're going to see them outside Woolworths soon, you know, next to the socialist workers. They'll be standing there going, Daily Telegraph, Daily Telegraph, Britain out of Europe.
Isn't the problem with Duncan Smith that he was a plotter in the past, and he now sees plots everywhere, and he was going around saying, they're all plotting against me, and we say, well, no, we're not particularly.
I think there probably is a plot. Whenever Portillo says, I don't want to be leader, you've just got to think why he's saying that.
Still, Boris Johnson was upbeat when the news cameras caught up with him outside his home.
He's going to do brilliantly. I'm going to kick Blair's butt.
You see, that's what you want as leader.
What do you think he should do, John? Unite or die?
Oh, I think he should stay in place. Definitely, we need Ian Duncan Smith there till the next election.
Do you think
Very
you're
good
a good
Tory leader.
person to advise the Tory party? Mind you, you did increase their vote in Maidenhead.
Theresa May, you know, she's chairman
She's
now.
an
She's chairman of the party.
lady,
Yeah, Tories would only have a
An
chairman.
attractive lady.
You know when you're getting really old, when you fancy the leader of the Conservative Party. That
John, you actually have some experience of other Tory women, don't you?
Oh, what's this then?
Haven't you spent a
Is
weekend
this the Edwina
with
Curry
Edwina?
story we missed?
It was dark. She just kept saying, John, John. I did spend a weekend with Anne Widdecombe, is what you're alluding to. No, it was a sort of murder mystery thing called Crime Team. They rang me up and said, you know, would you like to spend 3 days in a luxury hotel with a female novelist? I said, well, that sounds good. Which female novelist are you thinking of for me? And they said, well, we got you with Anne Widdecombe. And the sight of the sound man threading the microphone wire down her front, that will stay with me for a very long time.
Is she doing pantomime this year?
She's on with the Hamiltons at Guildford.
Yes.
John Simpson,
It's
you've
behind you.
liberated a country, but have you ever spent a weekend with Anne Widdecombe?
I've done many things.
You're stumbling there.
I've done many terrible things in my life, but I've never spent a weekend with, or any time at all with Anne Widdecombe. Do I get a point for this?
No, it's very hard for your side to get points. Do you want me to recap on the scores at this
Do
point?
you like, love? We've got a lot of people to see, so we can keep it coming.
Right, just to recap, this is Ian
IDS.
Duncan. Don't interrupt, please. This is Ian Duncan Smith's attempt to show he's in charge of the Tory party. Meanwhile, Lord Tebbit has been attacking the Tory modernisers, saying you go down to the pub and you say to people, do you think homosexual couples should be allowed to adopt children? I can tell you what they say to me. Clear off, Baldy, you've had one too many. Paul and John, have a look at this.
Well, this is the Queen, isn't it?
Yes.
The other Queen.
This is Posh, her attempting to sing, quick stopper.
These are alleged kidnappers.
Of her and the child. The Queen's behind it all, she's behind it all. She's
Do you think Doc Hyde?
Yeah, get me Posh bedtime. She's usurping my popularity, I don't like her.
Who's been helping the Beckhams through their ordeal?
Lulu.
No, it's Elton John, that famous celebrity psychotherapist.
Close enough.
Any other reason Posh was in the news this week?
Yes.
Yes, very funny story.
Go on.
Peterborough United, the football club, who have been known as the Posh, as their nickname since the early 20s, she is claiming that they've nicked the name off her. and that she's known as posh worldwide, and that they have to give up being called the posh because she's posh, and that's it.
That's not very funny.
I wouldn't. They're all doing it now, apparently.
Just leave your name at the desk on the way out.
Perhaps you could tell us what the original use of the word posh was.
Now, this is a fiction. This idea that port out, starboard home was printed on the P&O tickets. This is apocryphal. It's not actually true. It was,
There's a song in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang which goes, port out, starboard home, and if that's not an authority, I don't know what is.
Can we move on from the kidnapping to the really important issue about posh?
What's that?
That's Posh's fringe.
I think it looks quite attractive.
I think she might go to the same salon as Bobby Charlton, actually.
the amount of gel you need to do that.
It's good having a women presenter, because you can be really bitchy and unpleasant, can't you? Do you think she's had Botox? I only ask because I know you have. Oh, what an ooh.
At the end of that, this is the alleged plot to kidnap the Beckhams. One top security source told a newspaper the Beckhams will now be the subject of intelligence. Ian and John, what's your verdict?
No, David Shayler. After winning Have I Got News For You? No. There's John Simpson.
Not that one.
Is that the Libyan Have I Got News For You? Were you on that?
He broke wind all the time doing that interview. It was really embarrassing. I didn't know where to look.
That's why he was flapping that thing about, was it? Sorry.
That's actually all we know about that interview, isn't it?
Is it?
Him farting.
You didn't read the rest of it, then?
No.
You just read that bit? No. Yes, I see. And the newspaper I wrote for carried a really nice headline. It said, "Warm wind of compromise blows from Gaddafi."
But that was the plot that Shayla revealed. There was an MI6 plot to kill Gaddafi.
What was Shayla's prison number?
764296.
No, it was 007.
Yeah, it could be.
It was someone in the prison service with a sense of humour.
Really, was it really? It could be a whole new Bond film, couldn't it? The spy who got sent down for 6 months.
It was quite sad for Shayla, really. I think he deserved better than 6 months inside.
What is better than 6 months inside?
4 months.
This is David Shayler, who was found guilty after selling MI5 secrets to the Daily Mail for £40,000, or, if you like, 1/8 of a barrel. He's been sentenced to 6 months in jail, or, if you like, 1/8 of an archer. Let's have a look at the scores. We now have Paul and John on 5, and Ian and John on 10.
Unite on G2.
Round 2, this week's tabloid headlines. Paul and John, a chance to catch up. Bog off, we want your bed.
Now, this was the extraordinary story of the man who went into hospital for observation, I think, and went to the loo, and he was in the hospital bed, and he went to the loo, and when he came back, there was somebody else in his bed. He'd been reallocated since he'd gone to the loo. And they said, well, no, I'm sorry, this bed has been given to this person now, so officially he wasn't in the hospital, so he couldn't be given any meals or anything, so he had to sit out in the corridor for about 2 or 3 days.
This is the government meeting targets, though, isn't it?
I think it's
It serves you right. If you get out of bed to go to the toilet,
There's nothing wrong with you.
exactly, you're well. You're cured, get out.
So what happened at the end, then?
He discharged himself.
Oh, well, did he? Oh, dear.
He'd had enough. On the NHS, what has the Daily Mail been moaning about this week?
I read that article, and this doctor complained that...
Very good.
I know, I thought I was coming on a topical news quiz. I thought I'd read the
You've
papers.
got sharpened up since that Labour candidate time.
I have.
Do you think the shoes might have helped if you'd had a pair of kitten heels? Sort of leopard skin.
Bank!
This bloke was lucky to have a bed. I mean, everyone else gets a trolley in the corridor. So I think he was complaining unnecessarily.
It's more decline in the NHS with increased bed shortages and loutish behaviour in hospitals. Dr Theodore Dalrymple complained about the lewd actions of hospital visitors, some of whom climb into the patient's bed and indulge in highly sexual behaviour, usually followed by shouts of, "Just declare the new ward open, Ulrika." Ian and John, it could be Yob.
Ah, yes, this is the guy who won the lottery who had a string of offences. He was still wearing his tag when he won £9 million pounds on the lottery. He had offences for car braking and theft. But it wasn't actually his lottery ticket. He nicked it on from an old lady coming out of the newsagents.
What's the problem with this picture?
They probably won't accept a cheque that big anyway. You won't be able to slide it underneath the window. I've got to be here. Go on, get the back of the queue, mate. I'm serving the Queen. Here, let's have a look at me money. Where is it? Go on, give it to us, give it.
Does he still have his tag on?
Yeah, he has still got his tag on, I think.
No, he hasn't.
Has it been taken off, is it?
No, his lawyer argued that the tag left him unable to go about his normal business. How did the people's favourite newspaper, The Sun, react to this?
They wrote a headline that said, "Stop scum playing lotto." And the Telegraph replied, "I thought they were the only people who did it."
It's the story of 19-year-old offender Michael Carroll, who's won nearly £10 million on the National Lottery. Apparently, Mr Carroll has now got his eye on a 3-bedroomed house. It's not for sale, it's just that the owners are on holiday. That's another round done. Let's have a look at the scores. Yes, Paul and John 7, Ian and John 12. And John, your chance to catch up with the first.
I don't think we're going to with you keeping the scores.
Oh, I don't know if I mention Robert Maxwell another 5 times. Oh, that's only once. Robert Maxwell, Robert Maxwell. You know, it was the anniversary of his death the other day.
I know, sad.
Were you celebrating?
No.
I sometimes think he looks awfully good on the top of a pyre.
So we'll have another look at the scores now. That's Ian and John 12, that's Paul and John 13.
It's a very good night, the night Maxwell went.
So that's Ian and John 12, that's Paul and John 14. OK, I think we'll get on
Guy
now.
Fawkes night. I celebrate Guy Drowned night.
Paul and John, the first odd one out. Ant, Princess Anne, Lady Archer, and the national cycling team of Kenya.
Something to do with courts?
Yes.
Oh,
Princess Anne coming up in court?
Yes.
Yes.
Because her dog...
Her dog ate somebody?
Her dog ate a family from Coventry.
That's right, yes.
Was the Queen behind this, do you think?
No, she's behind everything, know what I mean?
What about the cycling team?
I can't help but feel they're the key to this.
I feel you're right.
The people we've never heard of are usually the key.
Are they?
Well, give us a clue. Hello.
It's just the ticket.
Oh, yes, we don't know.
Paul has a point for the cycling team.
Right.
Okay. The others have all been done for speeding. Princess Anne?
Well, that was years ago, wasn't it? She was
That
about
was years ago,
1980,
yes.
she got done for speeding.
No, she's been done again since then.
Oh, is she?
But she didn't turn up in court.
No, because she was on her way to open a new police station 100 miles away. Or in
thought you
her
said she
case, 10 minutes away. For an extra point, what about the national cycling team of Kenya? What happened to
what
them?
about the national cycling?
They were caught using the M61 as a practice track shortly before the Commonwealth Games. So, yes, the answer is they've all been charged with speeding, apart from...
I've never understood that bit of the game.
No, neither have I. I mean, I'm just saying it to see what happens.
I'm glad you watched the game.
I only watch it for the last 5 minutes because The Simpsons comes on immediately afterwards. Nice to see a bit of animation on the television screen.
I've got that game at home.
What game have you got
It's
at
the
home?
weakest link game. And you sort of press it to start, and this voice comes on, which is your voice, and you can just turn it off whenever you want.
Let's get on.
Sorry,
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Robinson. Sorry, Mrs. Robinson, I'm sorry.
They've all been charged with speeding, apart from the Kenyan cycling team, who were flagged down by police after doing 40 miles an hour on a busy motorway. Princess Anne has a reputation as the busiest royal, according to The Times. She undertakes 500 engagements a year, although, to be fair, half of those are court appearances. Ian and John, your turn. Freddie Mercury, John Major, Mike Reeves, and another ant. Adam this time.
Who's the guy in the rather fetching red anorak?
He's the one that caught the fish and put it in his fridge. And
Herbert the Turbot, you're quite right.
John Major had a fish story. What did he like doing?
Just give us a few more clues, like most of the answer.
Don't be coy.
Carp.
They all own carp, apart from that man at the bottom who caught a fish. Freddie Mercury, he was known as King Carp when he was alive. John Major never went out the house without a carp in his top pocket. So the other man, the angler's the odd one out. He doesn't keep carp, but he caught a fish that kept him alive in his fridge, and he took it out, and he took it to an aquarium, so he's the odd one out.
Absolutely. Yeah, excellent, well done. OK, according to American scientists, what sort of music do carp like?
Mozart.
Chopin.
No, they liked the work of one particular blues guitarist called John Lee Hooker.
that is extraordinary.
And for another song...
How do they know it's him?
Just to move on to Freddie Mercury, he's number 58 of the Greatest Britains.
Who's going to win it, do you think? Because you presented some of these. Who do you think is going to be the greatest
No,
Briton?
I'm in charge on the night. Yeah.
Can you rig it?
No.
Yeah.
I thought it was a
Just say, and the winner
It's
is...
the people's vote.
Sutney. I'll give you 20 quid if you say that on telly. Say the winner is Sutney. Good night, wink, and then we're off. People are sitting at home. Could be. He's a popular bear, you know.
And I'll give you 1,000 quid if you say the winner is Robert Maxwell.
Yes, the answer is they've all collected koi carp, except angler Mike Reeves, who this week caught a turbot that woke up just as he was about to cook it. The fish was described as traumatised after spending 15 hours in a fridge, that and seeing 10 members of its close family lined up in a box and covered in breadcrumbs. So that's the end of this round. Ian and John are 16, and Paul and John are leading with 18. A last chance for the losers to catch up with the missing words round. This week's guest publication is Carp World. Let's go. What is too expensive, says Brown.
Blair. Hospitals. His grammar's not too good.
The answer is war on Iraq, according to Gordon Brown. John O'Farrell, is it true that you used to write jokes for Gordon Brown?
I have written jokes for Gordon Brown in the past, and Tony
Tell
Blair.
us your best joke.
My best joke? I did once suggest that they gave the pensioners a 75p increase as a gag, and they went and did it.
Next, Trevor MacDonald wins what?
Trevor MacDonald lookalike competition. Fight with John Simpson.
Oh, I know. This is his Duke of Kent in pub raffle.
It's Trevor MacDonald wins trust vote. He came first, Ian, and you came fourth.
Well, I'm flattered.
Out
Well,
of
you
4,
should be, actually, because you were 1 point ahead of Richard and Judy and Ali G. Next, carp fishing is about what?
It's about...
What and what?
Right, OK.
Blood, sweat and tears.
No, but it's not
Earth, Wind
bad.
and Fire.
No.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Guts, determination and stickability. Next, Harry Potter and the what?
Oh, yeah, this is the onset of puberty.
Harry Potter and the Cauldron of Clearasil, isn't it?
No. This is Harry Potter and the screen hug. Next, Gaddafi to host what?
Have I got news for you?
Is this Miss World?
Well, it's a
Miss
beauty
World
contest.
competition. He's going to announce them in reverse order in burqas.
The actual story is that Libya has hosted its first
right.
beauty competition. And finally, up and what?
Is it up and on fire?
That's not bad, but it's not quite right.
A blaze.
Oh, that's good.
No, but you got a bit of it there.
A blazer.
light.
No.
Up and a blazer.
A what?
Fire.
A wash.
No.
A drift.
Up and a...
A loose.
Away.
No.
A whoosh, a whoosh.
Abigail. What else begins in A?
Aardvark. Hey.
For God's sake, woman, put us out of our misery.
We don't care.
Up and a
thought I was
flame.
Well, that's very feeble, isn't it?
Okay, this is the hot air balloon that burst into flames. Fortunately, the pilot escaped.
Said no smoking in the basket.
That's the one time you want to see Richard Branson in a balloon. And that is the end of tonight's contest, and the final scores are Paul and John 20, Ian and John only 17. Before we go, our caption competition.
Is the girl saying, and what do you do for a living?
Ah, Mr. Maxwell.
And tonight we have a special bonus one. John, what's this in aid of?
I didn't know what tweenies were. They said, do you mind if we put half your face with a tweenie? I said, fine, do what you like. Now,
You're
this
very
is what
trusting.
This was a surgeon you said this to.
That was to advertise the new Freeview service.
Can you imagine if you'd ripped off your burqa looking like that?
If I look like
That would have ended the war in
for the rest of my life.
Be a disappointment for somebody on their honeymoon, wouldn't it? Oh, my good God. Or whatever the equivalent is in, you know... Tweenie.
Thank you, Paul. And I leave you with news that during the filming of 101 Dalmatians, there are fears over where the other 100 went. In Essex, Jamie Oliver's daughter regrets criticising her father's bolognese sauce. And in Westminster, there's evidence that in one way at least Ian Duncan Smith is a worthy successor to John Major. Good night.
Well, obviously I was amazed I won. I was absolutely amazed. But I think Ian made a tactical mistake by continually mentioning Bob Maxwell. I think, you know, that was his mistake. But I think, you know, in the end, the best man won. I mean, what more can I say?
No, I mean, I don't mind losing at all. It's a bit of fun, isn't it? It's just telly, it's just a quiz. And the fact that a whole load of questions about carp on a topical news quiz, you know, so what? It's just fun, isn't it? I mean, who loses, who wins, doesn't matter. It's just fun. It's fun.